We are here for the 2017-18 Corban University men's basketball season preview. We're here with Corban head coach Austin Johnson. Austin, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So you guys are coming off of a trip to the CCC Tournament Championship game, which you guys won, and then a trip to the national tournament. What have the guys been doing in the offseason to build on that momentum towards this season?
As far as, each guy kind of had different things to focus on. So guys like Dennis Kirichenko, the rehab and getting healthy was the biggest thing he focused on this summer. And then Jake came back in better shape than when he got here last fall, which was really good, and it's definitely shown on the court. And then Joel Johnson had a really good summer in the weight room. He put on almost 15 pounds of muscle, and you can see that on the floor. And guys like Chris Martin came back in better shape. And so over the summer, guys I think took a really good hard look at trying to get better in the weight room and conditioning. And a lot of that I think is because they know how important that is to me. Whereas last year was year one, and so a lot of guys kind of coming in blind. And so the returners have done a really good job of picking up kind of right where we left off in certain areas, and so that's been good. And then the newcomers have done it. Over the summer, you can tell put a lot of time. I think the returners have talked to the newcomers about trying to get here in shape and don't be afraid of the weight room. And again, things have been a pretty seamless transition with both the newcomers and the returners.
So games are right around the corner. How do you feel your non-conference slate of contests will prepare you guys for the always grueling CCC schedule?
I like our non-conference schedule. We've got some back-to-backs in there. We've got a stretch where we play, I think, 3 games in 4 days. We've got a stretch in December where I think we play 4 games in 7 days. And so that's going to, I think, help in terms of it's going to test our guys physically and mentally, and it's going to test what kind of depth we really have. And then, we play 3 NCAA Division II schools. We play Western Oregon, who's really good and is set to have a really, really good year this year. We play Concordia, who had a really good first year in the GNAC, and then we play Hawaii Pacific, who won 29 games last year. And so I think we have kind of a little bit of everything in our non-conference schedule, and obviously once we get into Cascade, it's a whole different animal. But I like our non-conference schedule, the way it's set up, and the proximity of away games, and so I'm pretty excited about that.
What returners are you expecting big things out of this year?
Obviously AJ Monterossi has kind of been the focal point of the team during his career here. He's scored a lot of points, and he, depending on kind of how he finishes this year, could go down as one of the best point guards players in general to play at Corban. And so he's going to have to be a leader for us, and he's done a great job so far. And he came up clutch last year in some pretty big moments, and so really expect a lot out of him, not just scoring, but just in terms of defense and leadership. And he's taken a step, I think, this year defensively to be more committed, and I think that's had an effect on the rest of the team when they see how hard he's been working. And then Joel needs to take a step as a player. If we're gonna take a step as a program, then Joel Johnson needs to take a step as a player, and he's put himself in a position to do that with what he's done in the weight room and his understanding of how much work it takes to get better, and he's really embraced that. And so he's taken a step, and hopefully will continue to do so throughout the season. And like I said, Jake Love, Chris Martin, those guys came back in much better shape. Most of the returners have, I would say, for the most part, all of our returners are better than they were last year in some capacity, whether that's skill-wise, strength-wise, conditioning, or even just IQ of the game. And so, but definitely our seniors, and we have 5 seniors, and all of them played, I believe, double-digit minutes last year as juniors. And we've got guys like Monterossi, Dozier, and Joel that have played a bunch in their careers here. And so definitely putting a lot of pressure on them to lead by example, but also challenging them to be even more vocal.
How about newcomers then? What newcomers are you expecting to make an impact on the court for the Warriors?
So far I've been really pleased with all the newcomers, the transfers and the freshmen. Damian Fulp kind of adds a different dynamic for us defensively. So far he's proven to definitely be our best perimeter defender and embrace that role the most. And so him challenging AJ and Chris and those guys in practice has been huge. I think it's going to make guys like AJ and Chris that much better. And when you have a guy on your team that plays with his level of intensity defensively, it kind of rubs off. And so he's been huge so far if we can keep him healthy. And then Bo Rogenbach and Jet Sabota are two freshmen that to me have really, all of our freshmen have had moments, but Jet and Bo have I think really put themselves in the conversation to get some quality minutes as freshmen with just how hard they play, and they're pretty consistent. And so really pleased with all the newcomers, transfers and freshmen, but those guys definitely I think have a chance to be in the mix with things this year.
All right, Austin, then what goals have you set, or will you be setting for this year's Corban men's basketball team?
That's a great question. I think too, we talked to our guys a lot about, we're trying to build an identity before you can build a culture. And in 1 year, I think we have a pretty good identity of, I think teams in the league know that we're not going to quit. There's definitely things we got to improve on, no question, from last year, and even right now there's some things we got to improve on. But so I think in terms of goals, continue to build an identity and build a culture. And I think in year 2, we've seen the work that group put in last year, and so there's less growing pains in a lot of ways right now because we've sort of embraced a certain identity. And so in terms of goals, it's definitely the focus on us, just like it was last year, regardless of where you're picked or regardless of if the odds are stacked against you. That's much more about us. And so goals, I mean, I think obviously the way we ended last year, I want nothing more than every single one of our players to experience Branson again. I mean, that's, in basketball terms, that's a promised land, going to the national tournament. And so obviously I want that for our players, but we haven't really talked about that being a goal. So I'd say the goal is to continue to develop an identity and a culture here at Corban that will be known, not just on campus, but in our league and in the Northwest. And we have to get better defensively. We were in a lot of close games last year, and we can put points on the board, but I think if we're going to take a step like most of us want and what we're working towards, is we have to get better defensively. And so far I've been pretty pleased with the direction that's headed. And other than that, I just want our guys to have a great experience. I think being a college athlete is a privilege. It's something you'll never forget, and I want all of our guys to soak up every minute of it, even if it's the long and boring bus rides to me yelling at them and making them run to the awesome moments they have with their teammates. That's a goal for me, is I want our guys to enjoy it. And so that's pretty important to me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Coach Johnson, for your time today, and good luck out there this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.